Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What an eventful Christmas Eve it has been thus far. Trevor Etienne started the day trying to essentially ruin Christmas. I don't know why, but he did. He could have waited until maybe, 3 days from now. Maybe he could have done it 2 days ago. But Trevor Etienne decided to make it public that he would be transferring to Georgia. Now, if you've been watching the show, we've been stating that for quite some time. People didn't want to believe me. People didn't want to hear it. All in all, he ended up becoming a dog, and now it's personal, right? A lot of people have had their voice their opinion about it and how they feel about it and whether or not they think it's okay that he transferred or, should we disown him? Is it forever Florida? Here's how I look at it, right? At the end of the day, he's a kid trying to make the best decision for himself. I respect that. No harm, no foul. As a fan, though, you're going to get the smoke. Like, you're going to get it. Now, some people wish an injury. Look, there's a line. There's always a line. But if you think it's going to be like a mutual, like, hey, what's up? No, like I'm a dog on you. I'm a rag on you when I got an opportunity to. Hey, you go out and you put up a blunder 50 yards game one, you're going to hear about it, right? That's just how it is. And come game day against Georgia, hey, I hope you get leveled in the most respectful way possible. Like in all in all, met the young man, incredible young man, like so excited and such an awesome conversation. I had him sign my helmet, this helmet that is now known as the I would just say the death helmet because everyone on here is now gone essentially. It just tossed that thing to the side. It's crazy. I never thought in a million years, that something like that would happen. But look, still a great young kid, really happy for whatever is going to happen to him. But he ain't a Gator, you know what I mean? It's personal, and that's how it's going to be. Trust me, when he's on the other side of that football field, next year, it ain't going to be all sunshine and roses. And people on Twitter saying like, oh, congratulations, it's going to be okay. No. You better be pissed off with the rest of us, okay? You better be pissed off with the rest of us. I respect him. Move on. It's all good. But yeah, Trevor Etienne to UGA. Again, huge pickup. The number one running back in the transfer portal for them to scoop up on. But look, I've been stating this when he entered into the portal. It sucks. It's definitely a blow. And some of you may agree. Some of you may disagree. Doesn't really matter to me. This running back room that we have put together, I'm beyond excited for. Trayon Webb, Montrell Johnson, Kanan Daniels, Jaden Ball. Got some dogs back there. Trevor Etienne coming out of high school, I believe rated lower than Trayon Webb and Kanan Daniels. So that doesn't mean anything. All I'm saying is Trevor Etienne had a phenomenal freshman year. Just think about if Trayon's going into a sophomore year, Kanan Daniels is going to be a freshman. Combination of those two guys on top of Montrell Johnson. Hey, we just we pick up, move on. You put a line in front of these boys, anybody can do any kind of damage. So I'm over it. I've been over it. It just feels like it's kind of reopening the wound because it's finally been announced. But now we can officially put it behind us and keep this ball rolling. I saw some people wonder like, oh, we're going to keep Trevor Etienne? Like, hey, that thing's already moved on. That ship's already sailed, boys. Let's move on. But the big news that just broke just a little bit ago, which I think is Billy's counter to the news that we just got with Trevor Etienne, is they hired themselves a strength and conditioning coach. We talked about it on a show previously that Mark Hockey was demoted / reassigned within his role of the Florida Gators. He no longer will be running the strength and conditioning coach. And we talked about the importance of what a strength and conditioning coach is to the team, what it means to Billy with Nick Delatorre and a few other guys. Look, like this guy right here, you typically don't change because it's somebody that you ride and die with, somebody that you believe in. And Craig Fitzgerald is a very interesting hire. There's a few things we got to go note here. We have our people that we're connected to. This name was never mentioned at all. So people that are close to it and have been hearing certain names are hearing this name. And I would say probably a little taken back, right? Because they had an expectation and they got this. So it's a little whiplash, but here's why I do like it. Because I've stated on this show multiple times. I don't always like to know what's happening, right? Because I feel like just let it unfold. When I feel like if I'm finding out by now, it's too sloppy at that point. You know what I mean? So I like the fact that we were blindsided. Tells me maybe Billy's trying to put out little feelers to see who the rat is, right? This name never made it out. So Billy, if you put this name with so-and-so, now you know who to trust, who not to trust. That's just me kind of maybe getting a little diabolical there. But Craig Fitzgerald, what do we know about him? Well, for all the ones that say we need to go back and hire Urban Meyer or hire Steven Spurrier, right? Although those are pipe dreams, but the reason they say those things is because they want to get a blast in the past. Well, this young man or gentleman worked with C. Spurrier. Now he worked with him at the Gamecocks, but at least we're getting a little dose of Spurrier in the mix here. What I also like about this hire, which Napier has typically followed is hiring guys that he's at least touched or been around or had some sort of association with. He's had zero with this. So this tells me that there was some kind of conversation, maybe a little bit of inspiration from other people around him. Maybe like a Spurrier conversation could have happened. During his stint at South Carolina from 2009 to 2011, the Gamecocks won a school record of 11 games and finished the Associated Press top 10 for the first time in school history with Fitzgerald's final season with the program. So big time stuff there. He was at Penn State as well with Bill O'Brien after the downfall that they had with their scandal. He helped revamp the Lions training and workout facilities, and he holds a certification of Master in Strength and Conditioning Coach by the Collegiate Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association. So a bunch of big words, right? What does all this mean? From there, he went to Tennessee for 2 years, and now he's been with the Giants for the last 2 years. He also worked with the Texans, and during his tenure in Houston with the Texans, they won back-to-back AFC South Division championships. Now, we know he's not coaching. We know that, how much impact does he have? But if you go look everywhere that he has been, the time that he has been there, those teams have had success. At Penn State, I believe they had a winning record of like 8-5. You have to remember that was right after the Sandusky scandal. So they were really in a massive rebuild. And he's only been places for a very short time. So sometimes when you see somebody like this, maybe the whole point is they come in, they make an impact right away, but that's their strength. Companies hire people like this all the time, right? They'll hire like a COO or a CEO or maybe like a CFO that they do a great job of getting things up and going for 2 to 3 years. That is their focus. They're not there for a long time. And so some people are like, oh, he didn't last very long. Well, his strength is, pun intended, his strength is coming in and just flipping something over its head. But that intensity isn't something you last on. Now, where do you go from there after that? That's another question for another day. But this tells me from what we're reading, what I've kind of gathered in just the moment that this news is broken, or has since it's broke, is that this is a guy that's going to come in, try to flip this thing on its head immediately, right? Come in, punch you in the mouth, which is what you need, especially where Coach Billy is, kind of backs against the wall, right? You have to make a type of impact hire like this that makes everybody else in the room uncomfortable. That's how you're going to push the envelope. That's how you're going to get better. And I like the biggest thing in because people that are surrounding him right now, we've talked about this before, are a lot of his guys. Armstrong, he coached with him. Mark Hawk, he coached with him before at Louisiana. Obviously, Rob Sell, he coached with him as well. So you don't have somebody pressing up against you. Now, which we've talked about before, the guy that you are going to be handing off your program to has a very good track record for 25 years of coaching, strength and conditioning, and having a very successful record. So I like this. It's going to be somebody, in my opinion, that can push back of like, hey, I know what I'm doing. So you hired me to do my job. Let me rock and roll. Somebody like an Armstrong can't necessarily push back just yet. He's new to this, right? This guy has coached in Power 5 programs and has had success in Power 5 programs. And again, it's not quite like an offensive coordinator just yet, but for the offseason, that first step into a successful season, you were handing the reins off to somebody that you don't know, that you haven't had in your corner, that isn't one of your boys. I like it. I think every move thus far has been a very aggressive move. Some people may not like it, and some people are going to have their thoughts and their opinions, and you can find ways not to like this hire. 110%. If you really go down and break down, it's like, well, there's a lot of injuries in the Giants this past year. There were some injuries during his time at Tennessee. There is always going to be things that you can find that you don't like. But ultimately, I think it's a very comfortable, strong hire. It doesn't fall into the splash category, I think one could say. But what is funny is I feel like right now there really isn't a hire that's going to please everybody for Billy, because just people just don't feel that where this direction is going is a great one. So no matter what this man does right now, I think he's going to be ridiculed. So I think we'll hear more about this hire as it starts to unfold over the next few days. Again, we'll have our show on Wednesday where we'll talk about it some more for sure, but I wanted to get out there and let you guys know what happened and how it is going. I do want to go over one last thing before I let you all go, is the offensive coordinator news. There's been a ton of names flying around, especially if you're on Twitter. Not all of you are on Twitter, but for the ones that are on Twitter, there's been a ton of names going back and forth. You've got people that are pretty well connected saying, nope, that's not going to happen. Nope, this isn't going to happen, etc. Here's what I will say. In regards to what just happened with the strength and conditioning coach, where a lot of people felt that it was around a bunch of people. I spoke to different types of insiders and people that are close to the program, and a lot of the people were saying the same thing. The name was kind of in the same boat of what they were going after. Now, obviously, it was like, oh, it didn't work out. No shit, it didn't work out, right? But everyone felt that it was going this way. I'm not saying they were wrong. I'm not saying that that probably was a possibility at one point. What I am saying, though, and what I like is that nobody saw this one coming, so maybe we won't see what's coming with the offensive coordinator. The one thing that I will focus on that is exciting is there is a lot of talk about who the next offensive coordinator is going to be, which Billy hasn't came out and said straight up, hey, I am going to hire an offensive coordinator. So that's a question mark in itself. But the fact that we continue to argue who is going to be the offensive coordinator should excite us that at least Billy seems to be, from what we're hearing, making a move to hiring a new offensive coordinator, which is a step in the right direction, which should be a good thing. Should be a good thing. But what I'm concerned about is, again, people get their hopes up. They get excited, kind of like we did with the strength and conditioning coach. And then a name that we may have not heard or not necessarily didn't want happens, and then everyone's frustrated. Not like it really matters, right? Like Billy has said before, it's not my job to, make sure to mitigate the patience or the feelings that are happening outside the football field. As long as you're winning, Billy, ain't nobody gonna matter who you hire, right? Just make it work. Just make it work. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. Let me know how you feel about the hire. Let me know how you feel about Trevor Etienne. Let me know about your thoughts about what offensive coordinator there could possibly be. I'm sure you guys will give me all your opinions before I even made this comment. You guys were already probably in the comment section rocking and rolling. But Merry Christmas Eve to you. Have a beautiful Merry Christmas today. Shout out to the wife for letting me hop on here. I was like, look, babe, this is the Trevor Etienne thing, no big deal. But now I was like, what do you want me to do, baby? Billy's out here just flinging shit on the wall, on Christmas Eve. He could have waited. Could have waited 2 days, Billy. Let us have a day. Let us have a day. Doesn't matter. You guys have a Merry Christmas. I love you. Sleep tight. Don't let bed bugs bite. Santa's checking his list twice, so make sure you guys are good. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.